Hey, welcome to the Marriage Momentum Show. And today we're going to be talking about conversation changer. When you're having a difficult conversation, what is that thing, that skill that we need to be able to have those conversations safer and feel connection? So you may have been talking to your spouse and realized halfway through the conversation that you're not actually listening. Like you're preparing to defend yourself. Maybe you've done that. I know that I have. So it sounds something like this. Well, that's not what I said. Or, you know what? You always do this. Or, it's not fair because you really don't understand. What I was just trying to do or say was, and we go on to the defensive and we stop actually listening. Sometimes we'll call that a speaker in waiting, not really being a listener. So today I really want to focus on giving you a chance to understand what it looks like to be a good listener. So the question that I have for you is, what if the goal of your next difficult conversation wasn't to get your spouse to agree with you? I know, it's crazy. What if the goal was simply to help them feel understood? You don't have to agree to care. That feels like such a difficult thing for us when we're stuck in the way that we think things should have been seen or experienced. But if we could take a step back and we could attempt to care without having the agenda of having to agree about what really happened or what they felt versus what you felt, just take time to care. So, one of the things that in our marriage, Rick and I are very different. And I know you've heard me say this before, but the truth is, I'm a dreamer. I love to see the possibilities. I'm always thinking about the future and what's ahead. I kind of jump and I figure it out as we go. And Rick is very grounded. He sees the details, he cares about how we move forward, and he's very thorough about the way that we do things. Early in our marriage, I wanted him to see things the way that I saw them. And I'm sure he sometimes wanted me to slow down long enough to be able to see things the way that he saw them. We spent so much time and energy trying to convince each other that our way of seeing things was the right way. I don't know if you ever get stuck in that who's right, who's wrong kind of a conversation. It's not helpful. What changed wasn't that we became more alike. We became better at understanding the world through each other's eyes. And I think that's a huge shift. When we didn't have to be the same, but we could embrace our differences and see things through the eyes of our spouse and how they experienced it, what they are feeling, what actually happened for them, and let that be okay that it's not the same as ours. It's a huge deal. The big problem is most couples aren't fighting about the thing they think they're fighting about. They're fighting about what the thing means. What the thing means. For example, one spouse says, "You never help around here," and the other one hears, "They're lazy." But underneath the statement may be something like, "I'm really feeling overwhelmed and I need to know that we're a team." Or what about this one? Somebody says, "You never want to go anywhere with me." The other one hears, "You think I'm boring." Underneath of it, the truth is the person may be saying, "I feel like I'm missing the adventure with you." What if you started paying attention to what the heart message was underneath of the words? Because what we're saying and what we're feeling may not always match up because we don't often know what it is we're actually trying to say about our heart, and our hearts are what need connection. So here's the skill I want to give you today, and this is for the listener in the conversation. So you already told them I'm willing to be a listener because you know it's really important that we talk about, is this a good time? But I'm willing to be a listener. Let's see if I can do this, and I'm committing to attempting not to defend myself, but just to really hear you. I want to give you 4 simple steps as the listener to break this down to give you a chance to listen well. And this may shift your conversations. Try it out and let me know. So, first of all, take a deep breath and ask, do I have capacity to actually listen right now? Because if I start to feel myself getting defensive, I may not be in a good place to be a listener. And even if I gave you a yes, it's a good time, and I start to notice that things are coming up for me, I probably want to pause the conversation. And if I'm not ready for the conversation, I want to say something like, I really want to hear you. Can we talk about this in a few minutes, maybe after dinner, or set a time to come back and revisit it after we put the kids in bed, whatever works for you in the rhythm of your life, but come back to the conversation. This isn't an avoiding kind of a statement. This is a not right now. Let's do this when I can really listen and care about what's going on for you. If I start to notice that I don't have that kind of capacity, then I want to pause it and come back later. And that's healthy. That's not avoidance. Step number 2 is to be curious. Okay, so instead of saying things like, well, that's not true, or I didn't see it that way, or that's not how I saw it, say, can I be curious? Curiosity opens up a pathway that maybe there's some other things I haven't thought about. Maybe there's a opportunity to understand something a little bit differently, see it through their eyes. Can I be curious? I wonder what that was like for you. And in my curiosity, then I can try saying something like, can you tell me more about that? Or you could say, help me understand what that felt like for you. Now, notice it doesn't have to be what I felt, but what did it feel like for you? What was going on? How did you experience whatever it is that we're trying to talk about? Okay. Talk about understanding and being curious about what's actually going on over there in the listener's story. Step number 3, as the listener, you're always looking for the heart message. Okay, so you want to ask yourself, I wonder what my spouse is really wanting me to understand right now about this thing that we're talking about. Okay, so if it's about the finances, it could be that I feel controlled. It could be any number of things. Look for things like I feel alone, or I want to feel important to you, I'm feeling afraid, I miss you, I want to feel like we're a team. Those are emotional conversations. We're not trying to fix anything. We're just trying to hear the heart message connected to the topic that we're talking about. And then the 4th thing that I want you to do is to reflect. Now, here's where it gets kind of awkward, but it's a super powerful part. And I always say, if it feels awkward, you're probably doing it right, because we don't get taught how to do this in regular conversation. We do this a lot in business, and we do reflecting back. We want to make sure we hear each other so that the line continues to move forward. Now, in marriage, it's just as important. Okay, so I want to say things like, what I'm hearing you say is, or it sounds like you're saying this, and just hold it with that same curiosity. Am I hearing you correctly? And then reflect what they said. So whatever it is, you fill in the blank there. Now, the important part here is that you aren't agreeing. Okay, you're just demonstrating that you heard them and you understand. And that distinction is really huge. I don't have to agree to care. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. You might say something like, and this is like the cherry on top, if you will, it kind of validates what they're experiencing. Once the speaker has told you what it felt like to be them, you got it right, you're hearing them, you reflected it back, you have the opportunity to say something like, I really can understand why you felt the way that you did. I mean, I may not feel or have experienced it the same way. Mine might have been different, but I could see how you would have felt that way, or that would have been your experience. It makes sense to me. And just let them know that there's this validating piece, that what they're sharing with you matters. That's emotional maturity. It doesn't have to be the same as me. You can have a totally different experience, and we can exist in the same space together. There's room enough for both of us. So both experiences can matter. It doesn't invalidate yours. It just creates space for both of them. And what I want you to really remember is that what they experienced matters because they matter. You don't have to agree. You don't have to have had the same experience for them to matter to you. So before you try to determine who's right, who's wrong, what really happened, whose fault really is it, I want you to pause those questions and I want you to really start reflecting. What was this really like for you? Could you help me understand what that felt like to be you? That will give you a game changing conversation when you talk about difficult things. So, I'm going to give you a challenge this week, and your challenge is to do a 10-minute help me understand conversation. In this conversation, you're not trying to fix anything. I want you to set a 10-minute timer, and then one person will ask, what's something that you've been carrying lately that you wish I understood better? What's what's something that you've been carrying lately that you wish I understood better? And then listen. Don't fix it. Don't try to defend yourself. Don't give advice or try and help them figure out what they're going to do about that. Um, just listen. And then you're going to reflect back kind of the overall theme of it, asking questions like, tell me more. What else do you want me to know? And then you can switch, okay? Finish with things like, what's one way I can support you this week? It's actionable. So we can care about each other and support each other. And maybe it's just, you know what, right now I just need a hug. I just needed to know somebody was there with me and cared about what I was experiencing. Okay. So in my marriage elite marriage coaching program, I have this framework that I use: clarity to skills to habits that make impact. That's the framework. And I want to kind of break that down for you, what we did today. So today, the clarity is we recognize that we want connection and we're not looking for agreement. Number 2, your skill was to learn to listen for the heart message. 3, the habit is to practice the 10-minute conversation regularly. Don't make it a one and done kind of a thing. Practice it regularly and make it a habit. And then the impact is that you create a marriage where both people feel seen, known, valued, and safe. Imagine what could happen if in your marriage, if your spouse didn't have to fight to feel understood. Or if you knew that you could bring something difficult and you wouldn't immediately have to defend yourself. Imagine if you became the safest person in the world for one another to be honest with. Because healthy marriages don't happen by accident, they're built with. If you're listening today and you're thinking, we want this, we love each other, but we keep getting stuck in the same kind of patterns. It's like exactly what I created the Marriage Elite coaching program for. We don't just talk about what's wrong. Couples get clear about what they want to build, develop skills to create it, establish habits that make it sustainable, and ultimately create an impact that reaches far beyond just the two. Explore whether that's the right fit for you and the next step in your marriage. You can apply for a marriage vision call. I'll kind of go over that. You can click the link in the chat, or it'll be in the comments below. But click that link, ask for a marriage vision call, and let's see if you're the right fit for the program. And remember, your marriage is a message. Let's make it one worth echoing. Bye.